You know, we tend to think of history as this really planned out grand story. But what if I told you that some of the most iconic parts of our culture, they have stories you'd never ever expect? Yeah, they're not always planned out. Sometimes they're just born from pure chance, or maybe necessity, or a story that's been hiding just below the surface. So let's dive right in.
Okay, so this sounds like the setup to a really strange joke, doesn't it? A deep-fried burrito, one of the most famous artists of the 20th century, and a huge landmark moment in the American civil rights movement. I mean, what on earth could possibly connect all of those things? Well, the big secret is that their true origins are super surprising, kind of complex, and just fascinatingly unplanned. They are perfect examples of how history is often way stranger and honestly a lot more interesting than we give it credit for. And we're going to start with something delicious. That's right, we're starting in the kitchen. This is where one of the absolute best happy accidents in food history went down. Ah, the chimichanga. If you've ever had one, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's this crispy, savory masterpiece. But here's the thing. This incredible dish wasn't dreamed up in some chef's master plan. Nope. It was probably just born from a simple slip of the hand. And what's so fascinating is that we don't know for sure who to thank for this amazing mistake. The origin story is actually up for debate. You've got two different restaurant owners, Monica Flynn and Woody Johnson, who both kind of have a claim to fame. But the one thing their stories have in common, both of them involve someone accidentally dropping a burrito into a big old vat of hot oil. I mean, it's the classic oops moment that somehow turned into a totally iconic dish.
Okay, so not all of these unexpected origins come from a simple kitchen mistake. Sometimes a truly iconic look is forged in fire. You know, it comes from necessity and real hardship, and in the process, it becomes this incredibly powerful statement.
I mean, when you picture Frida Kahlo, what do you see? It's probably those vibrant, flowing Tehuana dresses, right? The intricate braids, the bold jewelry. Her look is it's instantly recognizable. It's celebrated all over the world as this powerful expression of her Mexican identity.
But her fashion was so much more than a statement. Yes, it was that, but it was also a kind of armor, a shield. It was this beautiful, totally artful solution to a life that was just marked by incredible physical pain. And this is where you see her absolute genius. Those long, beautiful, flowing skirts, they concealed the fact that one of her legs had been affected by polio when she was just a child. And the loose blouses, they hid the really rigid, painful medical corsets she had to wear after a truly devastating bus accident. So, here's the key takeaway. Her iconic style was this amazing act of defiant beauty. She literally turned her profound vulnerability into unforgettable strength.
So we go from one person's very private struggle to a family's very public fight. And it's a fight that all started with a really simple but incredibly powerful desire.
This is Sylvia Mendez, and back in the 1940s, all she wanted to do was go to her local school. But she was turned away from a whites-only public school right there in California. Her family, they just refused to accept this injustice, so they decided to fight back. And not just for Sylvia, but for thousands and thousands of other kids.
Just look at how this all played out. Their fight led to the landmark case Mendez versus Westminster, which ended school segregation in California way back in 1947. But, and this is the really hidden part of the story, its impact was even bigger. Because 7 years later, the legal arguments from the Mendez case were used as a direct precedent in Brown versus Board of Education. You know, the Supreme Court decision that ended school segregation across the entire country. Think about that. A fight for one little girl literally helped change the entire nation.
This whole theme of unexpected origins, it really is everywhere. It's not just in courtrooms or kitchens. You can even find it with our pets. I'm talking about the Chihuahua. We might think of them as, modern-day purse dogs or accessories, but their real story? Oh, it's ancient and it's actually sacred. Believe it or not, this tiny dog is descended from the Techichi, which was a breed that was revered by the Toltec civilization. And for the Aztecs, they were considered sacred. They actually believed that these dogs were spiritual guides, that they would help souls make the journey to the underworld. So for real, the next time you see a Chihuahua, just remember, you're not just looking at a pet, you're looking at a living, breathing piece of ancient history. All right, for our last section, let's look at how these hidden histories can sometimes make the legacies of our heroes a little more complicated, and also how they can lead to some simple but pretty memorable misunderstandings.
Simón Bolívar. His nickname pretty much says it all. El Libertador, the Liberator. He is an absolutely monumental figure in South American history.
a revolutionary hero who led 6 different nations to freedom from Spanish rule. Just incredible.
But the historical record shows a much more complex person. See, after his wife died tragically young, Bolívar never remarried. Instead, he became pretty well known for having a long series of affairs all throughout his military campaigns. It's just a great reminder that our heroes are often way more complicated than the statues we build to honor them.
And, this idea of uncovering the fuller story, it isn't just for historical figures from centuries ago. We see it with more recent trailblazers, too. Take the incredible Gwen Iffel. She was a journalist of both African and Hispanic heritage, and her resume is it's a total masterclass in excellence. I mean, she didn't just report the news, she literally made history. She and Judy Woodruff co-anchored the PBS NewsHour, and in doing so, they became the very first all-women anchor team on a national nightly news program. Just a true pioneer. And of course, these hidden stories aren't always these huge, monumental dramas. Sometimes they're just found in those small, personal moments of cultural mix-up. This little anecdote is the perfect example. You have one sound, but 2 totally different meanings. Some teenagers yell out, yo, holla, as in, holler at me. But a friend hears, hola, the Spanish greeting. The result is just a moment of pure awkward confusion. And a really great story.
So, got a deep-fried mistake, a dress that turned pain into incredible power, a family's fight for justice that changed a country, and a sacred dog's journey through time. What does all this tell us? Well, it shows that culture isn't always neat and tidy, it's often messy, it's surprising, and it's born from the most unexpected places imaginable. And all of that leaves us with one final thought. The next time you're eating a certain food, or you admire a particular style, or heck, even when you just see a tiny dog walking down the street, maybe ask yourself, what's the real story here? What hidden histories are just waiting to be discovered, right below the surface? Thanks for joining me.